Hi everybody, this is Helena Hart. I wanted to come on and do a live stream today on what to do if a man isn't contacting you right now. I'm going to be sharing 3 things that will help get his energy coming towards you again if he's the right man for you, or help you feel so strong and secure within yourself that you'll genuinely and authentically get bored and lose interest in any man who stops pursuing you. This is probably the #1 question I get. I see it all the time in the comment sections of some of my videos here on YouTube, and I see a lot of women making a big mistake around this. So I'm going to share this right up front. But before I get started, if you're new to my channel, make sure to click the button to subscribe so you don't miss any of my latest videos. Say hi in the chat. Let me know where you're watching from, or if you have any questions about this topic or anything else, and I'll get to as many as I can at the end. So before I share the 3 things that get a man's energy coming towards you again, I wanted to share a big mistake I see a lot of women making around this, and it has to do with what kind of man you're dealing with here. It's important to understand what kind of man you've got in order to know what's best to do in a situation like this. So the first category of men that I see women dealing with is a man who's generally a pretty good guy. His energy is coming towards her pretty consistently. He's interested in her. He's kind of doing everything he's supposed to be doing in this relationship or potential relationship. But her own anxiety or woundedness or insecurity or patterns of masculine energy show up often in a situation like this with a category 1 kind of man, and it ends up pushing him away and diminishing his desire to come closer and keep pursuing her. I hear from women all the time who say everything was going great, but I just got anxious and I needed answers right now and I pushed him away. So what can I do to get his energy coming back towards me? And what I'm going to share in this video will help you tremendously if you're in a situation like that. And the problem happens when women are dealing with men who fall into this second category. And that's a man who's not all that interested in pursuing you for a serious relationship, but he's interested enough to kind of keep you hanging around. He's interested enough to throw you some breadcrumbs every once in a while, or he's hot and cold and he's just coming in and out all on his own, and you're there and available and you've been open to him. And if a guy's doing that, you don't want to lean back or use feminine energy or some of these things I talk about as a tactic to try to make him step up or make him more interested or make him chase you again or anything like that. Basically, if you're using something like this or anything really as a tactic to try to make a man feel a certain way about you or make him step up and move things forward, it's never going to work. You're actually in your masculine energy. You're trying to make something happen. And sure, you might get a guy like that to chase you for a little while or regain his interest. But as soon as a man who falls into the second category gets the sense that he really has you, he's just going to back off all over again. And you just end up in this dynamic for months or even years. And I don't want you to do that. So the big mistake I see women making around this is trying to use feminine energy or leaning back or anything else as a tactic to try to make a category 2 kind of man step up and chase her or commit or anything like that. So I'd love to hear from everyone. What kind of man are you dealing with here? Category 1, who's generally interested and maybe your own anxiety or insecurity pushed him away? Or are you dealing with the category 2 kind of man? I call him the always something man, where he might be a nice guy and he might like you enough, but there always seems to be something that's preventing him from putting both feet in or prioritizing you or committing to the kind of relationship you want. So you actually want the category 2 kind of man to drop off and fade out of your life as quickly as possible. I also hear from a lot of women who say, they were dealing with a guy and he was a narcissist or he was using her or he was dating all kinds of other women or keeping them around in his world. And she says something like, I leaned back and it didn't work, right? So you don't want a guy who's falling into the second category. You don't want these tools to work on a man like that. You want those men to drop off and fade away as quickly as possible. Wow, I see 5 people in the chat just said they're dealing with a category 2 kind of man. I have a lot of videos on what to do if you're dealing with a man like that. I can include those in the description after this post. But if you're dealing with a category 1 kind of man, or you're not sure what kind of man you have here, These three things will help give you some clarity and help get his energy coming back towards you if he's truly interested and if he's the right guy for you. So the first thing you want to do when a man isn't contacting you and you're starting to feel anxious, you're not quite sure what to do, is give yourself a timeline to just not worry about this. You can give yourself a timeline of a week or 2 weeks or a month, whatever feels good to you, where you say, I'm just not going to worry about this right now. I'm not going to be staring at my phone, wondering if he's going to contact me or anything like that. So whatever timeline feels good to you, that's the first thing I would do. It's almost like giving yourself a little vacation from worrying about this. Often that's all you need to do to get the right man's energy coming back towards you. If you've ever had that experience where you sort of forgot about a man for a minute, that's when he calls. That's when you get a text from him. It's kind of how it works. It sort of feels like magic, but it's not. It's just that pathway between the two of you is free of all this resistance. And so, rather than just constantly having this take up space in your mind, give yourself a timeline to just not worry about this. And that brings me to number 2, and that is take your focus off of him completely. You really want to retrain your brain to focus on what's right in front of you only. So if this man is not right in front of you right now, what is right in front of you? There's probably a whole bunch of other things that you could be spending your time and energy on. You could work on some project that you've been finishing up, or your business, or call up a girlfriend and go on a hike, go to a yoga class, or take a walk, go to the gym. There's all kinds of things you could be doing. And basically you want to build up your life outside of this man and this relationship. And if he's that category 1 kind of man, he will absolutely start to come back towards you. It's like that pathway between the two of you. There's space for him to come back towards you now. If you've been pushing him away by trying to make something happen, or you're just even like using all your mental energy to focus on him and try and figure him out, when you take your focus off of him and put it on yourself and your own life where it belongs, something I always say, that's when the magic happens. That's what creates the space for him to come back towards you, if he's the right one for you, of course. And that brings me to number 3, and that is just simply let yourself get bored with this lack of momentum, right? Let it be boring. You don't want to have this huge emotional charge around it where you're just so triggered and so anxious and frustrated and you need answers right now. That sense of urgency is really destroying your love life if you tend to go right to that when a man isn't contacting you. And if you're, constantly feeling triggered and disappointed, and you're going to keep attracting those same kinds of experiences over and over and over. So of course you want to feel your feelings. If you're feeling disappointed because this man isn't contacting you right now, or you're feeling anxious or insecure, let yourself feel that. And then after a while, what happens is you just really start to get bored. You start looking around for something else to do, something else to focus on, right? It's when we're stuffing down our feelings and then acting out of him by texting a guy, sending him a funny picture that made you think of him. It's like we're ignoring our own needs, feelings, and desires and just acting out of that insecurity, or falling into these patterns of masculine energy where you're trying to like keep this relationship going or keep it together. And that's where we can get into trouble here. So those are the 3 things I wanted to share. I hope that helped. I'll recap them at the end. I just wanted to see if there were any comments or questions in the chat. So good to see everyone. Oh my gosh, I didn't know if anyone would be on at this time, but I'm so happy to connect with everyone. Run from those narcissists, absolutely. If you're dealing with a narcissist or a man who's just coming in and out all on his own, like he's hot and cold or inconsistent, and like I said, you've been there and available for him, then that's a red flag. You don't want to try and do things to make a kind of guy step up. Victoria asked, which one is the narcissist? I just got here. The replay of this will be available. I'm not talking about narcissists specifically in category 2, but I am talking about the kind of man who's just not all that interested. And you can apply all the tactics in the world, but it's never going to give you permanent results. I can guarantee you that. And you don't want it to either. Like I said, you want those men to drop off and fade away. You want them to get out of your life as quickly as possible. Okay, Angelina says, I leave it and don't message him. I pull my energy back. 2 to 3 days later, he's back in my inbox. When he comes back, I'm going to have to be more assertive. Yeah, I don't know anything about your situation, Angelina, but this might be a category 2 kind of man that you're dealing with. I mean, if a man is not on his own from his own volition, pursuing you and moving things forward and making you a priority, what do you want with that guy, right? And of course, I understand we've all been stuck on the category 2 kind of man, but really you just want to get in touch with the part of yourself that has no interest in a man, that is not on his own pursuing you consistently. Okay, one question I see, how long should you wait to date a man who just separated from his wife? Should you not date him until they're divorced? Great question. I'd love to hear everyone else's thoughts on this. It depends on what you want. Personally, I just think that's dangerous territory. I hear from so many women who have gotten involved with a separated man. If it were me, I would personally wait until a man was 100% available and legally single, unless you're just looking for something casual. But if you're here and you're asking that question, you're probably looking for something more. I would keep your options open there and not get attached to a man who's not completely divorced yet. That's just my initial thoughts. I'd love to hear from everyone else and see what you guys think. Yeah, Mary says to wait. Angelina says, I don't chase him. Unfortunately, when we do talk, I've noticed I've been subconsciously pushing for more and many actions, looking needy. Okay, yeah. So try these 3 steps that I shared and see what happens. Does his energy come back towards you or not? I get a lot of questions of like, if he's a category 2 man, can I turn him into a category 1? And in my opinion, I would say most often no. Men are pretty simple. They do what they want to do all the time. So if he's interested, he's going to pursue you as long as you're not, totally pushing him away with your energy. So you really can't mess things up with the right person. You don't want to walk on eggshells around this. But if you're not sure, go ahead and try this and then see what happens. That'll give you some clarity for sure. Okay, let's see. Last one I see, Myra says, I left a person I've been knowing for 15 years, no commitment, but he committed to someone else, but still reached out to me. Yeah, it sounds like a category 2 kind of man. That's the thing, when you are hanging around these guys or keeping them in your world, these are the kind of men that when they meet the right person, they'll just commit to her in a heartbeat. That's why I don't want you wasting months or years of your life on someone like that. It's better to recognize the situation for what it is right away and quickly move through the category 2 kind of men, so you don't waste your time. I mean, I see people saying they've wasted 10 plus years on a man, and then he meets a woman he's really feeling it for, and he just commits to her in a heartbeat. So I don't want anyone to get into a situation like that. Oh, I just see a couple more questions here. Let's see. Catherine says, sometimes he texts every day, sometimes every other day. He said he's been stressed, tends to not talk or text. I've been dating him for 3 months. He's the one initiating contact every time. Okay, so yeah, you can let him know. I mean, if he's a category 1 kind of man, I mean, he's truly interested, you can let him know how good it feels to hear from him. Absolutely. You can say something like, it feels so good to hear your voice on the days we don't see each other. It feels great to see your name pop up on my phone, and just give that positive reinforcement and see what he does. Does he take your feelings or needs into account, or does he just keep doing whatever he's doing and give excuses? So his response to you saying something like that will give you a lot of information. And I will recap the 3 steps at the end. I just wanted to answer a couple more questions. Nancy says, category 1, commitment in place. I asked him after 18 very good months, many, many photos and paintings of old loves in various states of dress. He is angry and wants a long break. That would be such a red flag in my mind. He should take your feelings and needs into account if you've been together 18 months and things have been great. So similar to the last one, when you express a need or a boundary, his response to that is going to give you a lot of information about how much he cares about your feelings, what kind of partner he would be for the long term. Those are my initial thoughts. Blair asked, thoughts on a friendship with an ex who's avoidant. Being friends with your ex, if you have absolutely 0 feelings for him and 0 desire to get back into a relationship, if you want to, that's up to you. The problem happens when you still have feelings for him and you're keeping him as a friend because you're hoping to get upgraded to girlfriend or wife one day. It just doesn't work like that. I have a great podcast episode on my Master Your Magnetism podcast on Spotify and Apple called Don't Give Away Pieces of Yourself to Someone Who Doesn't Want a Relationship. If for anyone in that situation, I highly recommend checking that out. I can post links to that too after this posts. Okay. Oh my gosh, so many more questions are coming through. My boyfriend of 2 years asked for space. He's watching my social media. He's logged on to one of my accounts. Will he come back? Our relationship was great. Yeah, I wouldn't get too caught up on what he's doing on social media. Again, I have a lot of podcast episodes on what to do if you're still having feelings for your ex. A lot of them are with Donna Barnes. She's a breakup recovery coach. So if you would like, after this posts, just ask me for the link and I'll include that. Yes, Amber wants the link. Okay. I'll go ahead and include that in the description or episode details after this post. I only have about a couple more minutes. Cassie says, I'm new to your channel. I absolutely love your advice. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Yes, thank you so much. I'm so happy to have you here. Okay, Mary wanted me to recap the 3 steps. So the first one is give yourself a timeline to not think about this, not worry about this. The second step is take your focus off of him completely. Basically, you want to build up your life outside of him and the relationship and retrain your brain to focus on what's right in front of you only. That's what creates the space for him to come back towards you if he's the right man for you. And number 3 is let yourself get bored with this lack of momentum. You want to truly, authentically get bored and lose interest in any man who's not stepping up and making you a priority. That often involves feeling your feelings, not stuffing them down and then acting out of them by leaning forward and trying to make something happen or keep this connection together. So that's what I have today. I just had about 15 minutes. I wanted to come on. You guys know I'm about 9 months pregnant right now, and I'm not sure if you can tell, but I get out of breath a lot easier these days. So just doing these shorter live streams, as many as I can before the baby comes in about a week and a half. I'm so excited. So make sure you are subscribe to my channel and click the link in the description to get my free gift. It's called 3 Keys to Attract the Man You Want. It's a free report and audio training, totally free on my website, helenahartcoaching.com. Like I mentioned, don't forget to subscribe to my podcast, Master Your Magnetism. That's where I'm spending most of my time these days, and probably where I'll be spending the majority of my time throughout the rest of this year too. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Yes, thank you so much. I love you all. And Amber says, I'm also a new subscriber. I love how your advice is empowering us to focus on ourselves. Thank you so much for sharing. Yes, absolutely. Oh, yes, you guys are so sweet. Yeah, I'm definitely having a hot flash here too, so I should probably get going. But this is amazing. I love you all. Again, don't forget to grab your free gift on my website while it's still being offered for free. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you again soon.